on iTunes, on Acast, and on SoundCloud. Welcome to the Lightning Draft Down Under. I was actually going to change this one to be I was going to be the I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
I was about to say that. We should do that.
Because that's also a nice little 3-second sting instead of it just running for literally 3 minutes.
I can't for the life of me remember what it is. I can hear it.
Yeah, I can hear it in my head.
Yeah, you can hear it in your head, but that's an awful. I don't think anyone would be able to sing it.
No, you're right.
It's like, no,
It's not that one.
Bum.
Jamie's is the closest.
Yeah, but I was just doing the sting that they do as a transition. We really haven't explained what's happening here, have we?
It's I'm a celeb.
Yeah, well, we've been graciously invited onto the Podcast World Cup by Tactics FC, whereby there's 32 podcasts, all taking a different team from the World Cup finals, and we've been lumped with, there's no other word for saying it, Australia.
We wanted Australia.
You wanted Australia. Talk us through your decision to pick Australia.
I had a best friend that emigrated to Australia, so I think, what other podcasts won't have is a correspondent from that country with their accent.
What about the one who's got England?
Apart from them.
What about...
I don't know. We don't know.
I'd
we'll
like
have to
there
listen
to be a
them.
French correspondent somewhere.
Yeah.
That's not too far away.
Do we have your friend available to speak to?
He's sending in, because the horrific time zones.
Oh,
he's having
Here
to,
we
What
go.
an
Didn't think this through.
he's
That's
having
all
to do
to
it
do.
via a pre-recorded message. But he's made his predictions.
Right, well, listeners or watchers from around the globe who have tuned in for the Podcast World Cup to try and get some sort of insight into the Australia team, unfortunately, you're unlikely to get much from us, but we will try our best because we've been told to do the podcast in our own style. And
Which
I don't think anything sums up our style more than not knowing what on earth is going on.
It's spontaneous. That's our style.
Spontaneous. Well,
Use
I'll
one
hide
word.
these 2 pages of notes then, shall I?
Okay, well.
Yeah, Nick,
I would like to address the elephant in the room.
which is... Hi, Connor. So, again, see, if you're here for the Podcast World Cup, you just thought this was normal. You just thought he was part of the old team.
Yeah.
But he's not. This is our producer, Connor, for the day. It's like bring your kid to work day, but it's actually bring the winner of the Lightning Draft head-to-head to the podcast day. So we run our podcast, for those who don't know, we basically pick a five-a-side team from the Premiership, and it works like fantasy like that. But we take on different podcasts and different groups, and Connor from Impact Magazine managed to beat all of us.
Well, I was lucky enough also to have a double game week, which no one else had. So
We did.
Well, I mean, apart from you, but of every other team that you faced, I was the only one that had.
No, there was another one with a dull game week.
Oh
actually,
well,
that
I'm
came.
gonna stop being modest then.
Well, there you go. Well, yeah, well done. So you're going to be joining us today, as clearly you know more than we do about football. So hopefully you'll be able to add more insight into this whole Australian national team thing.
I would not hold out much hope, but we'll try.
But we're also going to tie it into an upcoming Lightning Draft World Cup special, which is coming up later this week. And the winner of a quiz that I've prepared on Australia will get first pick, which doesn't really mean much. Well, you'll have to wait out and see. But first pick to whoever wins this quiz. And this will hopefully, get us into more of an Australian mindset, and then we can do some proper discussion on how they're going to do at the World Cup.
Gonna channel my inner Mark Viduka.
Your inner Mark Viduka. Well, you know what? I'll start with the question that involves him then, shall I? Because that's a nice little segue.
Big.
Who is the most capped Australian player of all time? Is it A, Tim Cahill? Is it B, Mark Viduka? Or is it C, Mark Schwarzer?
Do you want to answer first, Phoebe?
Beep. I didn't know this was a buzz around, but all right. I you know what? I never really decided how this was going to go. But go on then, Phoebe,
I'm
what do
going to
you
give it a
reckon?
bit of a guess. I'm going to go with A.
Which was?
Cahill.
I thought that was the first step, was going to be remembering who A was.
I would also like Tim Cahill.
You think Cahill?
Schwarzer
and Higgsy?
I'm not going to be able to pick, but I'm going to go and say B, just so we have an answer for all.
Okay, well that's very nice. Yeah, Higgsy obviously isn't going to be part of the World Cup special, so you're just playing for
I've
fun.
gone for Mark Viduka.
Well, I can tell you the least caps of that is Mark Viduka with just a 43. And then Tim Cahill with 105, Mark Schwarzer 109.
No way.
So
yes.
Tim
on.
Cahill Australia this year would have to get out of the group, and Cahill have to play in every game to level
Get
Mark
to the
Schwartz's.
quarterfinal.
Yeah, but then I think there's another friendly coming as well before. So if he plays in that, he could soon be the most capped player. But at the time of recording, it is Mark Schwarzer. So that's a point to Nick. So well done, you.
Cracking.
Now we'll go back to the established order, which I'd already pre-prepared before you said Mark Viduka. Right, Australia. This is a good bit of trivia. Australia holds the record for the biggest win in an international football match. But who did they beat, and what was the score?
Beep.
Beat from
I
Nick.
know this as well.
You know it?
Yeah.
Oh, you can go.
Oh, go on then, Nick. Go on, Jamie, you're confident.
Is the first person to answer just wins the round? Because
No.
surely people can just copy the people.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
So do you want to go last then if you're certain?
It was against American Samoa,
Yeah.
and the score was 34-0.
Nick, what do you think?
I think, James, that it was against American Samoa
Yeah.
and that the score was 33-0.
Oh,
Higgsy?
I think it was against American Samoa, but I think it was 36-0.
Oh.
Phoebe
Throw a rogue one in there.
against England.
I was going to say it, but no. Against American Samoa, and it was. I'm going to go 38-0.
38-0. You are all right. It was against American Samoa. None of you got the correct score, but the closest was Nick
no.
with 33-0. It was actually 31-0, although Nick clearly confusing it with a bit of extra trivia involved, whereby the scorer lost count and originally attributed the score as 33-0, and then they had to review the footage and come back with 31-0.
I'm living in a pre-VAR world, James.
Yeah. Well, they actually broke the previous record of 22-0, which they themselves had set 2 days before against Tonga. So it was a
gosh.
cracking few days.
And then they were allowed
for,
to enter the Asia Confederation.
It was, yeah. It was
What a day to be in
So they
Australia.
got a 53 positive goal difference in 3 days. So that was pretty good. Archie Thompson scoring 13 goals in that game against American Samoa of his 27. So almost half of all of his goals came in that one game. Now 31-0, that's quite impressive. So what two excuses did the American Samoa team come up with as to why they lost? This is a bit more inventive, so you can't really copy answers. So we'll start with Phoebe. What two excuses do you reckon American Samoa came up with to explain their 31-0 defeat?
They all had food poisoning from the night before.
That's a good start. And then one more excuse.
One more excuse. I'm going to just go with, the heat was too much. They all felt a bit...
Being from
wobbly,
American
you know.
Samoa, they're not really used to the Australian
No,
heat.
they're not
I
used to
guess.
Not to the same extent.
Anything for us?
My first one is that they maybe thought that they were playing rugby, so got completely the wrong sport, as is
That's a
Samoa.
fun one. That's a fun answer.
And the other one was that they were taking in the Australian culture the night before and may have had a few too many.
How
and-
drunk can you get that you forget how to play football?
Well, how do you lose 31-0, James?
Well, okay. Nick?
A very poor healthcare system in American Samoa.
Political.
And a crippling economic crisis that meant that their currency had fallen through the floor.
Their currency had fallen through the floor. What?
So
Their currency?
Yeah.
I can't see it.
Right, so they've run out of money to bribe
Yeah.
officials.
Yeah.
Okay, right, and Jamie?
They thought they were going to be playing rugby, which is what I thought I was going to say before. And also, they had a hatred for the American Samoa FA and wanted it to disband. Terrible result.
I can tell you, none of you got the correct answer.
Really?
Oh, no.
None
I'm
of
really
you.
surprised by that.
The two excuses they gave were passport issues and school exams. You'll love this.
School exams?
Just one of the 20 first team players were actually allowed into the country. So, just their goalkeeper, which, you'd think you needed for a game like this. So 19 of their players were denied access. And high school exams meant they couldn't even call up their under 20 players. So basically, it was an absolute shambles. They had-
American Samoa have a youth system, fair play.
They had an average age of 18.
Wait, so who played for them then?
A load of 15-year-olds.
Ringer FC.
Yeah. According to the American Samoa Football Association vice president, it was also some of their players' first time playing 90 minutes.
Wow.
Big.
So that might
Wow.
explain the
To be fair, this
30
is kind of
31
explain
mil.
why they did lose so badly.
Yeah.
That's quite a good excuse.
I would
it
have
is.
also accepted the rather rogue, vague corruption angle because a lot of people suspect that the passports were denied so that Australia won by a significant margin so that they'd be allowed to join the Asian Football Association instead of the Oceanic because it was getting a bit boring having to win all those games so easily. Right. I've missed some it's a real shame. You know, you missed up the order. I had some trivia for the old Mark Viduka question, but I guess you'll...
So who won
you'll
that,
never know.
James?
Well, no one. Me. I get a point. Yay. Oh, actually, Higgsy, you can play for me.
Okay.
Right. But I also get a point for that, though. So there you
What?
go.
Out the bus.
You knew what they...
You can't have two people playing for you. Not
Well,
with that.
all right, fine. I'm not getting a point then. But Higgsy,
Okay.
sort yourself
I
out.
will.
Right. Now, this is back on brand. You thought, how are they going to make this fantasy football? But we're about to. Because 2 of fantasy football's surprise packages have been included in the Australia squad. But which of them scored the most points? Was it Brighton's Matt Ryan
Oh.
or Huddersfield's Aaron
I thought the
Moy?
question was going to be which players.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm
So who
going to
scored the
get
most
my
points?
bet in early. I'm going to go for Aaron Moy.
Higgsy.
I changed my mind last
I was
going to
say the same as Nick.
Aaron Moy,
Yeah.
Moy,
I'm going to say Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
I'm going to say Aaron Moy.
Just the one of you getting it right
Oh.
then. Connor
Oh.
Higgs, Matt Ryan, 146 points to Aaron Moy's 113.
I changed my mind last minute as well. That's so frustrating.
I just thought because, Brighton shipped a few goals.
Well, they've had some good
But then
seasons.
you got to think about those save points as well,
Yeah.
which is probably helped him out quite a lot.
Mm.
Plus, he's probably played 38 games.
This is why he.
But it
beat
was
us.
quite close, so...
'Cause he-
That's why he
Between
beat us.
them.
Yeah, the
Is it
one
proper-
fantasy football question.
Yeah, proper fancy football knowledge, whereas we just go for names that I suppose we can pronounce.
Moy.
Well, that's not strictly true because Phoebe
Yeah, I couldn't
did
pronounce
in
it.
rehearsal say Aaron Moo. Moo? Was it Aaron
It
Moo?
was Aaron Moo.
In rehearsals.
In rehearsal. Well,
In our
while-
matinee
Sorry.
podcast.
while we were setting up. I was like, Aaron Moo. Yeah. So do we see them doing anything at this World Cup? Had a good season. They all both stayed up.
They've got a decent core of players. So Matt Ryan in goal,
2.
Aaron Moy, Tim Cahill,
Tom Rodic. He's a
Rodgers at Celtic. Yeah,
Jedinak.
they've got a decent
Jedinak
back
isn't
there.
in the team.
It is. He's their captain.
I don't know. I looked at
I
their.
checked
They've
the team,
not.
he wasn't in it.
Yeah, they've
I'm
not
so
released
glad
their
that we
squad yet.
researched this.
No, they've
Wikipedia
not-
told me he's in it.
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia, yeah.
No, they've not released their 23 yet. But in their preliminary, he's not in it.
I'd
How
like
can the
to check
captain...
that.
Well, he can't be captain, surely.
Cahill's-
couldn't be
Cahill's
captain
captain.
without a...
Yeah.
Oh, right.
James, I think you might be
Fine,
wrong
I
there.
did all this research.
Throw that
So-
Jedinak trivia one.
Well, this is just a lesson.
Oh, well, there
That's the
goes,
quiz over.
there goes the Jedinak round. I mean, haven't got any left. No. Oh, here we go. What is Jed? No.
You're down.
It's over.
Well, we can still use it.
At least I won.
No, don't worry. I've got on another piece of paper on
Okay.
this. The whole Jedinak thing, that was a ruse.
So
He's not actually mentioned once.
we'll go on to the Harry Kuehl round then.
Right. Now, this is the most would not be accepted on any sort of television game show as a viable question because it's such a debatable answer. But Tim Cahill has an odd fact about himself that he shares with, well, I think none, but there's possibly some. I couldn't really find out any sort of source on this. But he is one of he's the only or one of few players at this upcoming World Cup to be what?
To be what? To be...
Nick.
See, you said odd fact, which is kind of putting me off my answer,
Right.
but I'm going to go with it anyway. Gay.
Right. Higgsy?
What a time for someone to walk in.
I'm going to say he's one of the only players to have a police conviction.
Oh,
That's outside the box. Phoebe?
Apart from Sergio Ramos.
Oh, all right, Higgsy.
He's one of the few players
Jamie?
I can't think odd. I'm just going to say he's one of the few players who played in the 2002 World Cup. Going to this one.
Well, that's not a bad shout.
Didn't
actually.
qualify for the 2002 World Cup, so not correct.
I take.
He
what
also
I
didn't
said.
have his first Australia capital after that, I think in 2004. But apart from that, we never know. That might still be the correct answer. Phoebe?
To be, I don't know, I'm going to say a triplet.
A triplet, well, that's fun. I wouldn't have been able to research that. Unfortunately, none of you have got this right. It's actually a little less fantastical than you've all been saying. He's one of few players at this year's World Cup to be without a club.
Yeah.
Tim Cahill currently unattached. So,
So, did you research? Are there any others?
from what I could tell, no.
Didn't
But
he-
it's quite difficult to research the background of all of
What- Didn't Tim Cahill go back to Millwall?
He did.
Yeah, but
for
he's
a
now out of
spell,
contract.
Yeah, only on loan.
Currently unattached Tim Cahill. So no points there. So I'll give myself one. No, I won't. I'll be fair. I'll be
What a
fair.
ridiculous
Right.
question.
Which of these teams did Australia not beat in their World Cup qualifying? So they beat 3 of these teams, but didn't beat a 4th one. Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, or Syria. Which one did they not beat? We'll start with Phoebe.
What was the second one?
Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Syria.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia. Higgsy.
I'm gonna say Iran.
Iran,
I'm also going to say Iran.
and Jamie.
I'm gonna go Saudi. Let's go Saudi Arabia.
I can tell you that 2 of you are right.
Ooh.
And it's those 2 over there because it is
God.
Come on.
it is Iran. They didn't even play Iran, whereas they drew 2 to Saudi Arabia and then beat them 3-2 in the group. Beat Iraq 2-0 and drew 1-1, and then they beat Syria in the playoff 1-1 and then 2-1 after extra time. So Iran points there for Higgsy and Nick.
If we win this quiz, does it count as citizenship test? 'Cause I've always
I
wanted
will
to-
call up the bureau.
Cool. I've always
Because-
wanted a double passport thing. Duality.
Well, traditionally to get citizenship over there, all you do is commit some crimes over here, and then off you go.
Do you know
I
that
like
to
that.
get
That's a
citizenship in
historical
England,
joke.
you have to actually sing the whole national anthem. You have to know it. And
What's the
it's
name of the
so
national anthem? What's their national anthem?
Australia's. I can't even think.
I'm gonna
Mysterious
go out
Girl,
on a limb.
Peter Andre.
That's not a bad shout, to be fair.
I mean, it is.
I thought it was God Save the Queen because they were part of the
No.
Commonwealth, but I may be completely wrong.
Well,
No,
there'd be
they
no
wouldn't be
point
able
doing
to
the
have the
anthems
same.
at the Ashes.
Yes, true.
I'm gonna go with just simply Australia.
Phoebe?
Down under.
By Men
The
at
theme
Work.
from I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Jamie because he's the only one who got a single word correct, which was Australia. Advance Australia
over.
Fair is the national anthem. So, I mean, that's a
You're
bonus
trying to
point for
sing it
Jamie.
now. Just
No, I remembered the
Yeah.
tune.
Have you ever
I
heard
remember the
it?
tune from the Ashes.
Oh.
Well done. Your first point is one that I hadn't had written down and had to search. But there you go. How many games have Australia played in the World Cup finals?
ever.
Ever. So in the World Cup finals, so starting in the first World Cup in 1930, how many times have Australia either played in a group game or a knockout game combined? So looking for but I think I'll give it to the closest, and we'll start with Higgsy.
Well, it's more of a question of how many World Cups do I think Australia have qualified for, and I have absolutely no idea. So I'm gonna go 22 games.
22 games. Nick,
37.
37 for Nick.
I don't think they've ever made it out of the group, so I think it's going to be a multiple of 3.
Oh, I like that thinking. Go on.
So I'm going to go for 24.
24.
See, I was going to go for 22.
22. What did you say, Higgsy?
I said 22.
Yeah.
22. Well, I can tell you the points go to both of you then, because the answer is 13.
Excellent.
13.
13.
13.
My
13.
original answer was going to be 12.
So,
and then
do
I
you
thought,
know how many World Cups they've actually been to?
Yes, this is going to be their 5th. And they have won 2 games in the World Cup finals. One versus Japan, which they won 3-1 in 2006. One versus Serbia, which they won 2-1 in 2010. And they've qualified for group stages once. That was in 2006.
Really
Well,
went
very
downhill
next
after that
round.
American Samoa game, didn't it?
And I tell you what, it did. So this will be their 5th World Cup finals. If you include the upcoming one, 2 of the 5 managers for those finals have been Australian. But what is the nationality of the other 3? So they've
Is it
only
all
had
the
2 nationalities. One's Australian, and the other is an option between 4: Danish, Kiwi, so from New Zealand, Dutch, English.
Well, Kiwi would be too obvious.
Or is it?
Or is it? Maybe. I'm going to go Danish.
Danish,
English.
English,
Dutch.
Dutch.
I was going to go Dutch.
Dutch, well, crowd knows it. It is Dutch. 3 of their managers have been Dutch. What a rogue kind of nation to have a pairing with. Yeah, their current manager is Bert Marwijk, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And his assistant is Mark van Bommel. But for an extra point, what is his relation to Mark van Bommel? They're related in some way. How are they related?
Brother-in-law.
Brother-in-law?
Stepbrother.
Stepbrother?
Neighbours.
Neighbours?
Be very Australian.
Very Australian.
Uncle.
Uncle. Again, I'm going to give it to Jamie for the only one with the correct words.
Come on.
In-law.
Yes.
Bert is Mark van Bommel's father-in-law. So we'll give an extra point there. Jamie's really putting it back here. Right. This is the final question. I hope we've learned stuff about Australia. Australia have had their most success in the Oceanic Nations Cup, winning it 4 times. New Zealand have won it 5 times. But who is the only other nation to win it? An option between Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Tahiti, or the Solomon Islands. Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Tahiti, or the Solomon Islands. We're going to
What a
go with...
shit question.
You're disqualified. Phoebe.
Can you repeat them?
Papua New Guinea, Fiji, Tahiti, the Solomon Islands.
Between the Solomon, I'm going to go Solomon Islands.
Solomon Islands,
I'm going to go Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea,
I think he was disqualified.
Fiji.
Fiji.
Am I allowed to ask for a bit of trivia? When was
No.
the last Oceanic Cup?
I
can't have
won't
it.
tell you when the last one was, but I'll tell you that this particular win was in 2012.
I'm going to go for Tahiti.
You can't.
Oh, I think you're right,
Well, the
actually.
golden generation of 2012 Tahiti national
Cracking
side.
players.
Oh, probably
Well, I
not
can
then.
tell you, he's absolutely spot on. He doesn't know
Oh,
his
that's
Australia, but he
right.
knows his Tahiti.
There we go.
I can't believe I've just done that.
Oh, no. Look,
You've been framed. You're going to get that very soon.
For the listeners on
stealing my
SoundCloud,
limelight as well.
The listeners on SoundCloud, he has spilt chocolate milk all over himself.
iced latte.
That's
Nice
going to stain
latte.
coffee stains.
Yeah, thanks, Phoebe.
No, very lucky you've got buttons.
Well, what a disaster, because you got it wrong as well.
I know.
So, yeah, Tahiti, they've
a
been a
shambles.
runner-up 3 times, and they won it in 2012. And I won't tell you who they beat in 2012 in case we need some sort of tiebreak, because I'm going to go back and count the points. So, Jamie, you have 1, 2, 3 points.
I think I've-
Higgsy, who is playing on my behalf, has 1, 2, 3, 4 points.
I don't believe that for a second.
Well, you can listen back if you want. Nick has been disqualified, but has 3 points.
Fine.
And Phoebe
I've got 1.
has 1 point. So that means that this tiebreaker is going to be between Jamie and Nick. And if neither of them get it right, Phoebe comes second.
Okay.
Oh, yes, I like
Then
that.
who comes third and fourth?
Well, I've won.
Okay.
This
Thanks,
is
Higgsy.
this is absolutely ridiculous. You just make these rules up as you go along.
Yeah.
It's the fun of it, though.
It's part of the style. We were told to do it in our own style. Right. So they were runner up 3 times, but Tahiti won their only ever Oceanic Nations Cup by beating who in the final in 2012? Nick first.
I'd like Jamie to go first.
Jamie first.
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Nick?
I was going to go for them.
You can still go for them, and then we'll go to another tie break. which he hasn't prepared, which would be fun.
No. There's not another tiebreak because, as I say, if you both get it wrong, Phoebe wins.
No pressure.
I'm going to go with Australia, James.
Australia. Well, the giveaway, of course, was 2012, and the fact that they're no longer in the Oceanic division, they're in Asia, so I can tell you that's wrong. And I'm going to give the points to Jamie for once again being the only person to get at least one word right. The answer is New Caledonia, of course. The famous 1-0 victory of Tahiti over New Caledonia to call yourself Australian national team.
Does that mean New Zealand dropped out as well?
Yeah, they went out in the semis.
Wow.
No, they're still in the Oceanic. They're still
And
there,
they
but
lost.
they lost. Yeah. That's poor. But there you go.
Proper-
So
that must be a proper
New Zealand
Fiji cup.
got the new bit. So
Literally in a
thankfully
village.
you did say a word that was correct. Otherwise, I was going to have to get a globe out and go with who is geographically closer. But yeah, so go on then. Jamie will take second. So I win, and then Jamie's second.
His own quiz.
Yeah, so
Like a spoilt child. I win.
I thank you, Higgs. That was very nice. I brought him
He
in.
didn't even pay for
It's like when when you're a little kid and the manager's son does everything. Penalties, free kicks,
dear.
corners.
So
Throw-ins.
best podcaster of the day goes to me.
Employee of the month.
Just a you can't see it behind the camera. It's just a line of just James's face.
So there you go. I hope that's brought you kind of up to speed as to what's going on with Australia. I mean, that last question had a very, very tenuous link to Australia, but the rest of them, you now know your Mark Vidukas from your Mark Schwartzes, isn't that right?
Of course.
Right. Should we talk about their group?
Yes.
Who's in their group, Connor?
Peru, France, and Denmark.
Okay, so
Well,
write
they're
that
not
down.
getting out of that, are they?
I know. I think they can. I think they'll come second. I
No.
think they've got a good shout at second.
I don't believe for a second that's going to happen.
But-
I think
but
they're the
just-
fourth best team in that group.
Just in kind of, I was going to say, in line with us not knowing what's going on with football. Phoebe, in rehearsals at the matinee, as you said, who did you say was going to be the best team in that division?
Okay, let's not mock me now. I said Peru.
Why do you think that, Phoebe?
Well, you know what? No one called Costa Rica, did they?
Imagine if
2014.
Peru go on and bloody win it now.
Exactly. That is why,
Going to
you
show
can't.
us right up.
Yeah.
Put a bet on now, Phoebe.
Yeah,
Just in case.
I'm
I
gonna
think
bet
France
Peru.
are second or third favourites to win the World
Exactly,
Cup.
but as we've known from previous years, you can't go
That Peru
favourites.
always.
Well, I mean, France are traditionally hit and miss with World Cups. If they turn up, they tend to do quite well, but that is dependent on whether their team stays together or not.
It's all about the croissants, isn't it?
Yeah. So, what we think, Higgs? Do you think they'll get nowhere near?
No, I think that France should get out of that group as winners. I think that between Peru and Denmark, I think they've got more quality in their side.
Denmark
But-
had to go through qualifiers as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But I just think the quality of players they've got is stronger when you've got players like Christian Eriksen, who for Denmark. I mean, Christian Eriksen versus Aaron Moy in the centre of the park.
Yeah. What do you think, Nick?
They're not going to do well. Aging squad, probably.
Probably.
Yeah, well,
Well, I
Tim
mean-
Cahill's in there, and he's like
Yeah.
56.
Right. Well, now, Jamie, you clearly have a lot of faith in Australia, having picked them
I
for
do.
this podcast. What do you think?
But they've got a cracking fan base that will travel to Russia and support them behind the goal. Also, as well, you've got to think Peru. Think of the
Where else are they going to support them from?
side.
Yeah,
So Peru as well. Think of the climates. Going to Russia, it's going to be tough. They haven't really.
Hey,
played-
Russia's well warm this time of year, you know.
Yeah.
It's like 30 odd in summer.
Yeah.
That's some
Yeah, it depends
GCSE
where they're playing
geography
though.
coming
Depends
into,
where they're playing though.
coming into play there.
Huge country. It could be cold in other parts. and warm in-
Oh, Jesus, some technical difficulties with our sound. All sorted now. Go on.
No, I think Australia will give it a good go. They turn up at tournaments like this sometimes. They had a cracking go at 2014.
We'd hope they'd
Yeah.
turn up if they qualify.
Wasn't 2014 the one where Tim Cahill scored an absolute
I was
screamer?
gonna
Possibly.
There was one where
He
Tim
has
Cahill...
scored. Oh, hang on. Got time to go back to my fact that I had to admit earlier. Tim Cahill's actually scored 50 goals for Australia and is their top scorer.
There you
How many of them were against American Samoa?
go.
None. He wasn't playing.
Yeah. And also, that I said before this year, they've got a good core team. Matt Ryan in goal. Then they've got Cahill, Moy.
It's not a core team, though, is it? You
Roger.
haven't named a single defender.
There's 3 players.
You haven't even named a spine of a team.
They've got a good middle of the
You've
park.
got a slipped disc in your squad.
What, Matt Ryan up top? What do you mean? What do you mean good middle of the
I
park?
can't remember the striker's name, but they've got a decent squad going into this compared to the usual. They've not just got Tim Cahill, they've got a few players. Let's give them a chance. We're supposed to be supporting them.
Are we?
No,
Yeah.
I'm
This
surprised.
was very unclear as to what's whether.
We'll just Australia shit.
Hmm. There you go.
Yeah. So we'll just have to see.
So, out in the group. Out in the group.
Categorically out in the group.
I think
in the
they'll
group.
valiantly go out in the group in the last game.
Yeah, they're going to be out.
Semi-finals.
Who are they gonna be en route to the semi-finals, James?
I'd prefer not to think about it. I just think, they're, on their day, it can take anyone.
Game by game.
Yeah. No, it's not looking good for Australia, is it? To be very honest.
Oh well,
Ranked 40th in the world.
that's all right.
And there are 32 teams in this.
So they did
So
quite
if
well then
anything-
to get
So-
in to qualify then.
Yep, they did quite well.
Proper
Yeah.
underdog story.
But then you need to remember that the teams around them in that Asia group, you've probably got a lot of teams in Europe who are above ranked 40 who
Well,
aren't in the
Holland.
World Cup.
Holland
Yeah,
aren't
and
there,
Italy
Italy.
as well.
Yeah.
Big sides.
Wales.
So you've already got Wales. You've already got to think that Australia have done the hard work then. They've already beaten 2 World
It's
Cup
just
winners
one big
and
party.
Wales.
Just one
Yeah.
big party.
We'll see.
There you go. Do we have anything else to add about Australia, or have we well and truly talked about it for ages?
Yeah, I think we've said it all.
Water goes down the wrong way, there, doesn't it?
That's what I heard.
That's pretty nuts.
Coriolis effect.
I don't know what it's called. I just know it's pretty mental.
I learnt it from The Simpsons. Right, that's us then. Come on, you Socceroos. Look out for the World Cup special from the Lightning Draft coming up later this week.